So in this video, I'm doing a very difficult IMC approach into PDK. And real quick, I just wanted to say, whenever you see me looking over here, I had an electronic flight bag there, like an iPad kind of projected there. So this is sort of what it looked like for me. When relevant, I will be showing you the charts that I was looking at, but most of the time I was looking at checklists and Navigaph. Alright, so today we're going to be doing a flight from Kilo Lima Zulu uniform to Kilo Papa Delta Kilo, so from Gwinnett to the Peachtree Airport in the Atlanta area in IMC. So this is very bad IMC, you can't really tell, but it's horrible IMC. After about 300 feet above ground level, everything disappears. It is completely, like, you can't see shit. So we're in the WB Sim Cessna 152. The reason I chose this one because it has steam gauges, so it's nice and visible with my Rift S, which has pretty limited resolution, and because of the GPS, which that's just the same reason. It's a lot easier to see it than the older GPS models found in like Hyper Dakota, for example. So runway 25 is what we're taking, and we're taking runway 3 at Peachtree. If you look at the approach chart for Peachtree, this is the approach. It's the RNAV for runway 3 right. We have a few options of how to intersect it. Syria is really what we care about. We're probably going to go from Logan because that, I believe, is the best spot from Gwinnett. So a flight's going to be at 3,000 feet. We can brief it on the ground just to make things easier because this is the same, this is the extra approach. So this is the RNAV approach. We're not going to be doing frequencies today. This is just, so we're going to care about the frequencies. The approach course is 026. You can see here, this is the missed approach instructions. We are going to climb to 4,000. So the most important thing is after we have the failure of an approach, first thing, climb to 4,000 and turn to track 026. The GPS can help us figure out our track. So that's all we really have to care about at first. When it comes to missed approaches, the thing I care about the most is those instructions, what to do immediately after something goes wrong on the approach. And hold. So let's take a look. What entrance can we do here? We could do a teardrop. That looks about right. Yeah, so we could do a teardrop entrance to Bappy. And the course is going to be 006. So, or the inbound course is going to be 186 to Bappy. The GPS will help us with that hold anyway. I don't expect to be doing a missed approach today because we are going to be pretty much ignoring minimums. So we are going to be doing this one. Minimums are 1334, which is 338 AGL. So add personal minimums. I usually round to 500 or above. So 500 would be my personal minimums for this AGL. So that would be approximately 1,500. So if by 1,500 feet we cannot see the runway, that's when we would execute missed approach. I'm not positive if weather even permits that. So if we don't see it, I will not be executing a missed approach today. Seats are locked, avionics are off, carb heat is off. Beacon will set you to on. Turn you beacon, that one. It's hard to see with this thing on. Mixture, we're going to set you to full rich. Throttle, we'll put you in about 1/4 inch. We'll prime it, we'll do it twice. Brakes are on. Prop is clear. Let's go ahead and turn on the master switches. Alright. Let's open you up. Clear propeller. Alright, let's go ahead and set the mags to start. Fuel is off. Well, that's because I didn't do the pre-start. That's my bad. Always do your pre-start. Alright, oil pressure's in the green, oil temperature is coming up. RPM, I get that around 1,000. Oil temperature, well actually that comes up before takeoff. If it doesn't, then we'll taxi back. Alright, oil pressure is good. Lights as required, let's set those as required, which is going to be on for pretty much all of these. Nav lights, taxi lights. I like to set you just a bit to give us a little bit of a red glow. Up here, I like to activate the dome light. Oops. There we go. So that's our lighting. And this is our panel lighting. So it looks sick. Cool. Let's go ahead and begin. We're taxiing to runway 25 today. We don't have anyone else, and we're not doing frequencies. So if we look here, we're over here. We're going to be going straight out to the right on via Whiskey all the way out to 25. All right. Let's go ahead and begin our taxi. To the left, to the right. Flaps need to go up. We hit the flap button. You helped me click the flap button. So this video is going to be centered around the approach into Peachtree. And during that approach, I'm mostly silent because it is very stressful. So I'm going to be voiceovering with analysis of what I did and what I did wrong, mainly. So one of the reasons this was difficult was mainly there's a lot of loss of orientation in IMC. And as you can see, at the end of the RNAV approach, there was a circle back to the runway. And doing that while on a precise RNAV approach, while going to minimums, while not knowing where the hell you are, and relying on your instruments, and there was significant weather, by the way, which made a lot of this very difficult as well. This was a very difficult approach, and that's gonna be reflected in the video. Alright, so just last things. Direct track 285, you are 270, you are 285, you are 285, you are to the left 33, to the right 33, you agree, okay. So all of our flight instruments agree with each other, oil pressure is a bit low, the temperature is actually on the up, so that's nice. Let's go ahead and begin our pre-takeoff checklist. Flap 0 to 10, we have plenty of runway, so we'll do 0. Mixture of best power, carb heat off, that's off. Pitot heat as required, I'm not sure, but we shouldn't need it today. Yeah, 1-3, so we're fine. HID compass, we already did that. Doors and windows are locked and secured. Exponder is on altitude reporting. Landing lights, set you to on. Strobes are on, we'll have the beacon on. Brakes, time is currently 11:57 p.m. Brakes, release, abort plan ready. What's our abort plan? If we don't make it by the control tower, we will stop it, we will throttle idle, and we will brake the craft, and we will exit the runway to the left when able. If we have an issue after that, then 30 degrees left and right, we will find a field, and we will set it down. If anything goes wrong, the traffic pattern altitude is 2,000 feet. We're going to enter a left traffic pattern to come back. The wind is 12 knots against us if we need to do a 360. So that's something we need to take into consideration. Abort plan, we got that ready. Alright, next is takeoff. So we're going to be doing full throttle today. We're checking oil pressure, rotating at 50, VY 67. And then flaps will come up. So that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a right turn to intercept our course. Alright, we are clear on the right. No one is on final. Don't even see anyone in the sky. That makes sense because I cannot see jack shit right now. Let's go ahead and go on the runway. That says runway 25. Don't ignore that. The taxiway sign says Bravo. That's obviously wrong. MSFS is like that, but the taxi signs are wrong. Alright, runway 825 confirmed. Alright, we can keep our eyes on the engine instruments. Flight instruments are all good. All engine instruments are in the green. Full power. RPMs are good. Oil pressure is good. Airspeed alive. Rotate. Positive rate. We're not talking about that. That didn't happen. Alright, that didn't happen. 70 to 80, we'll do 70. Alright, eyes inside. Begin our right turn to intercept the GPS. This is the exact moment the loss of orientation from IMC kicked in. This is very difficult. Oh my god, I'm getting really disoriented right now. My peripheral vision throws me off a lot more than when I'm on a flat screen. I feel like I'm going straight level right now, but I'm in a turn. 2000. We'll intercept it about here. Looks like we are actually already on the course, so we need to turn to the left. So I've skipped to the start of the approach, and you can notice here already that my vertical speed indicator is kind of flying all over the place, and you can't really see it, but I am behind the aircraft. My scan isn't going well. You can see here that I'm turning, but then my vertical speed shoots right up. This is a common problem throughout the entire approach, and a lot of it I will blame on the weather. Okay, I'm not giving all the blame to the weather, but the weather was really bad, which caused most of my issues with altitude, I would say. But that I should have been prepared for, and I was still behind the airplane. That becomes most evident during the final section of the approach in the circle to land. Down, literally, give my brain more time to think. It was at this point that I decided to slow down, literally. I took the RPM to about 2000, just to give myself more time to think. The slower the aircraft was going, the more time I had to react to it. I think this is one of the better decisions I made in the approach. I also had a bad effect later on. The winds were really pushing against me, which really let my airspeed go to a point that I was not comfortable with. For a lot of the approach, I was at 60 knots. I deployed the flaps a bit early, but I think I was going almost too slow in some points, and there was one point where the stall horn actually went off. And when you're in IMC, just a few thousand feet above the ground, the last thing you want to hear is your stall horn. To prove my point that I'm behind, you can see I'm turning to the right now, but that's getting me off course by a lot. So why was I turning right? It's because I was looking at my altitude. I was behind the airplane. At this point, it started the Hukap to Wambu leg. The reason why this is so significant is, as you can see here, that is the first leg on the plan inside the circle to land. This means I needed to start circling to the right whilst managing my altitude, which I wasn't doing very good when I was going straight and level. You can see that as I started out, I kept just twisting the OBS indicator and the heading indicator over to the right constantly to match in line with what it was telling me. Later on, I started only doing the OBS indicator. Near the end of the approach, I decided to just stop messing with them entirely, read the number off of the GPS unit, and just look in that direction whilst treating my OBS as I could. While this is typically inefficient in pretty much any other workload, because of how fast-paced the turning of that was, it was actually safer, in my opinion, for me to do it this way. You can see me doing my first strategy of moving both the heading and OBS indicator. while I'm preoccupied with turning, you can see my airspeed is at 60 knots, which is 20 knots below what I wanted, and I'm going down. I was navigating the aircraft instead of aviating it. You're supposed to aviate, navigate, and then communicate. I was navigating and I wasn't aviating. This is my second strategy of just moving only the OBS needle. At this point, I started getting into a flow with the turning. As you can see, my altitude was approximately right. It was a little bit all over the place, and my track was also approximately right. But at this point, I felt I was at speed with the airplane. I wasn't ahead of it as I should have been, but I wasn't behind it anymore.
Seatbelts, harnesses, make sure best power, car heat. Flaps on, flaps as required. We're gonna keep them low today.
Right here is when I passed Wambu, and the reason why this is significant is after passing Wambu, it's time to just start the descent down to the runway. The problem is you're turning while you're descending. This means I had to manage myself complexly in both dimensions. So this is when things started falling apart. I got really off course, especially near around the end. I eventually did get back on course by the time I was getting close to the runway, but I fell behind the aircraft pretty significantly for a few seconds. You can see me getting confused of which way to face here to re-intercept it. I think the biggest thing I could have done to help this was put the runway heading in as I was intercepting Hucap at the beginning. This is when my altitude got really off course and I didn't properly recover it till near the end.
Flaps 30, speed 55. Ground contact. Just a bit.
This is when I passed my personal minimums.
Localizer, minimums, and you've just passed minimums. Runway in sight.
This was the most relieving moment of the approach when I had the runway in sight. Just before the published minimums too, so the approach was still technically legal. The rest of this approach was done visually, which I think I did an alright job of. Although the plane was a bit dirty, you could see the speed was a bit high. I didn't have enough mental energy to properly set the airplane up for landing.
Charted minimums. We're a bit fast, we can go up a bit. It's going to be a bit of a rough landing. I was a bit overstimulated, so I didn't really have enough time to properly situate the aircraft. But we're pretty close. We're only about 5 knots over, and the flaps are quite a bit higher. This is a bit of a floating landing. Eyes to the end. Quite a bit of a floating landing, actually. A bit of a porpoise. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. Alright, we're going to exit to the left here. That was very stressful. That was probably the most stressful instrument procedure I think I've ever done. Let's get our after landing checks. Alright, we are going to cross the runway, so I'm actually going to do our after landing after we cross. Oh, I'm lagging. Whoa, that's not good. Got some lag. Wonder what that's from. Probably should have checked if people were on final. That would have been a good idea. So we land runway 3 right. Just past that, so we are on Delta right now. Alright, let's stop this thing, get you about 1,000 RPM. Park brake on. Alright, let's do our after landing checklist. Flaps up. Carburetor heat, turn you off. Strobes off. Landing light off. We'll turn the taxi one on. PITA heat is off. Mixture will lean for ground. That's all good. Trim. Set that to take off. Transponder will set you to standby. I don't usually like doing this because on VATSIM you always have to have it on altitude reporting, so I don't usually do that. But we are good to go taxi, so let's see, where are we going to taxi? So we are over here on taxiway Delta. There's the north ramp, so we'll just go straight forward to the north ramp.
In conclusion, I think I did an alright job with this approach. The fact that I was able to execute the approach and get to the ground safely and legally, I think that is probably the most important part. You know, I did the approach, but there was a lot of room for improvement, especially when it comes to proficiency. I didn't really stay in touch with the plane. The plane was very much flying me a lot of the time, and that could have been very unsafe. If I had not reacted properly, if I had not eventually come to my senses and a lot of stuff, this could have been a lot worse. I was below altitude a lot. The speed, the horn went off. It was a pretty dangerous approach, but I did technically reach the ground. So, you know, I reached the ground safely. No one died. I think that's probably what matters most.
Here we are on the ground at Cobb County Peachtree. That was shut down by EFB now. That was by far the most stressful flight I have had in the past month. That was very difficult. I very much enjoyed it, but it was very difficult. It was not much time. We were in the air for approximately 40 minutes. So, yeah, 40 minutes. That was only 40 minutes, which, now that I think about it, seems high for going to Peachtree. See, if I was going VFR, I would have been on the ground a long time ago. But here we are. We made it. We're on the ground. We didn't die. So that is a success in my book. Thank you for watching.